y'all. It's your girl Stephanie, your NEMT guru. And we talked about so many things on with dealing with NEMT service providers, NEMT business, whatever you want to call it. I prefer to say that I own a transportation business and we offer NEMT services. But some of us provide student transportation. We do different things. So today we're going to talk about what does state requirements really mean. So when you think about state requirements, it says what it is. But for transportation businesses that transport people, a lot of us want to know what are our state requirements, like what are they asking for. And so we're going to break that down today. What are state requirements? So y'all see my background look a little bit different because I moved. Hey. I moved. So my office space looks a little bit different. So that's why you see the TV in the background. But we're gonna dive right into it. So I make sure the video is not too long. So state requirements really mean, so I'm in the state of North Carolina. I own a transportation business that transports people, right? Precious cargo. But we offer different types of services. And non emergency transportation or non emergency medical NEMT is one of those services that we provide. Well, we also provide student transportation. We also have a carrier service. So I try to tell people when you're thinking about your business and your business model and marketing your business, don't hone in and focus so much on my business is a NEMT business because you kind of like putting yourself in a box. And I always say throw the box away. If you follow me, if you in my Facebook group, you already know I always say throw the box away. Not think outside the box, but throw the box away. So when we talk about state requirements, when it comes to non-emergency medical transportation, non-emergency transportation, but for the sake of this video, we're just gonna say NEMT. When it comes to state requirements, what that means is you have decided that your business is going to work with different insurances. Most of the time, that's Medicaid, some states, Medicare, Blue Cross, Blue Shield, different insurances. Well, the state has said, especially for Medicaid, Medicare, but more so Medicaid, they're saying, okay, listen, these are what the requirements are for you to transport our clients. That's it. So state requirements does not mean like this is how I start my business. This specifically means when you decide that you want to target or transport certain clients, right? And most of the time it's Medicaid or insurance. And so different states have different requirements. And so that's only a small portion, guys, like a very small portion, in my opinion. Again, I'm going to say this at the beginning like, this is my opinion and based on my experience as a transportation business owner. Um, in my opinion, like when you think about Medicaid, Medicare, or even working with brokers, like that's a small portion of your business. When I first started, I really focused on working with brokers, and it taught me a lot. It taught me a lot to, I won't even say like, not put all your eggs in a basket kind of thing, but it really taught me a lot. And so as I kind of grew in my business, I was like, well, I don't have to put my business in a box and say that we can only provide this type of service. So in North Carolina, you get your Medicaid number, and if you live in North Carolina, you definitely should be following me because I talk about the North Carolina requirements. I also talk about how to get certain state certifications if you decide you want to work with Department of Social Services, things like that. Well, in North Carolina, you can apply for your Medicaid number. North Carolina has decided, well, we're not going to do all that. We're not going to do the work like the Department of Human Health and Services. I forgot the acronyms, but they're saying we're not going to do all that. We are going to let another company vet your business to make sure that you're able to transport our clients. And so these are some of the things that you have to go through when you're going through the process of getting your Medicaid number to work with brokers in North Carolina. North Carolina is a broker state, and y'all, I would say so many states are going to this whole idea of working with brokers or third party companies that get you the clients. And so when you're starting off, a lot of times that's the best way to do it, in some people's opinion, because you know that you have the clients, right? And I did that. And so when I first started, I worked with One Call, and they were in North Carolina. One Call has now since went to where they strictly work with workers' comp. And so I'm trying out my new speaker, my new mic. But they have since went to workers' comp, which is a whole nother conversation. I'm about to do a separate video on just getting clients for your business. But let's not digress. Let's stay focused, Stephanie. So what you have to do for North Carolina is apply for your Medicaid number. So the first thing most businesses have to do is get your NPI number. Once you have that foundation, and I did a previous video where it talks about starting your NEMT business and how important foundation is. And the foundation covers like research, making sure that you set up everything right. Well, once you do all that, you get your NPI number. That is free. You can just Google NPI, and really that's a provider identification number, really. And so it's free, no matter what type of provider you are, transportation, doctor, therapist, whatever. Most of us have an NPI number. And so you have to provide that. North Carolina has a portal, which a lot of states do now, where you go in and you apply for your Medicaid number via this portal. In North Carolina, it's called NC Tracks. In order to get into NC Tracks, of course, what you got to have a login. And so to get the login, you go to NCID. This is only for North Carolina. Other states have their own portal. And if you want help with your quote unquote state requirements, you can go to my website and book some time. But it's really simple. It's really, I won't say it's simple, but I like research. And so when you start with one topic, you could just Google like how to become a Medicaid provider in California, how to become a Medicaid provider in Georgia, whatever state. You Google that, right? And once you Google that, it's going to take you to one website that's probably going to take you to someplace else. And you just slowly but surely, you just kind of keep with the research. And that's why it's really important when you start this transportation business that you really do your research. And so get your Medicaid, you go through NC Tracks and you start this process. Well, in North Carolina, the company that is used is called Public Consulting Group, and they'll reach out to you once you submit your application. They'll reach out to you and they'll say, okay, you got to do this, and the steps are really, you have to do an online training, and then they reach back out to you. They do a vehicle inspection. The biggest thing for me that I try to tell people in North Carolina is once you do that online training, they send you some paperwork, you do an online training. And then once you they come out and do the vehicle part, and I don't remember the order. But one of the steps is like this on this. I call it like I don't know if y'all, for me, in college and in high school, you had these open book tests. That's what it reminds me of. So everything that they have sent you information on the online Medicaid kind of training comes down to this big interview. And I say big interview, but it kind of reminds me of like a open book test. And so they reach out to you and they'll say, okay, this is the time. You have to make sure you're prepared. Let me just say this. If you are not prepared, you will not get your Medicaid number. And that's it. Like you have to be prepared. You have to have reviewed the information. I would say thank God I had a really good person because I was like 60% prepared. And so I'm thinking that they're going to talk to me about, Medicaid, the process. No, it was similar to an open book test. They ask you questions, you had to be able to answer them. Once they finish, they'll reach out and say, okay, you need to get the 1.5 million in auto liability insurance. I did that, and like a few weeks later, I was issued my Medicaid number. That's the state requirements, y'all. And so the 1.5 million, going through public consulting group, getting my NPI number, having reliable transportation, and people would tell you not to whatever. I started with my personal vehicles, and I feel like that's a personal preference. Like people will say don't do it, but I started with my personal cars. If I could do it different, would I? Probably not. Only because I wanted to really see how the money came in, like how it worked. And so I'm really glad that I used my personal vehicles that I had. And I've had a Nissan Altima and a Toyota Tacoma and started that way. But those are really what your state requirements. And earlier I said like your state requirements are really a small portion of your business, because I don't really get asked my Medicaid number. Only because my business we do student transportation. We also I still work with MTM, but I haven't really taken any trips. And MTM is a broker. But they're the only people that have asked me for my Medicaid number. So then it makes you think about, okay, these state requirements are only really needed when you decide that you want to work with brokers, insurance, Medicaid, Medicare, things like that. What I do tell people during consultations is I suggest that you follow the state requirements. So if your state requires that you have a vehicle that is 2014 or newer, if your state requires that you get a surety bond for X amount of dollars that you pay yearly, then I would definitely say do that. Because if you really think about it, whatever the state requirements are and you are following those, then you're good. Sorry. You're good to go. You're not really, you kind of winging it. So I follow my state requirements. Even though I don't really work with brokers, I focus more so on private clients, student transportation. I still make sure that I follow my state requirements. So when you are thinking about state requirements are over here and starting your NEMT business or your transportation business is here. They're not the same thing. They're to me anyway. Again, remember I said this is my my experience, my opinion. But you can start a transportation business and your focus is transporting people, of course. And you can decide that you want to focus on student transportation. Well, student transportation is not going to require my Medicaid number. It doesn't require it. They don't ask it because it don't have nothing to do with Medicaid. They don't require my MPI number. They never asked me that. So you have, to me, when you're thinking about your transportation business, you have different services. So one service could be student transportation. Another service that your business provides could be um, non-emergency medical, working with a broker. One could be private pay clients that you go out and get yourself. So I'm gonna have to do another video on private, how to get clients or getting clients. But private clients, whether that's uh, assisted living, dialysis, hospitals, different other services, but those fall under private pay. And so when I say private pay, I really mean customers that are gonna pay you directly. They're not filing insurance. They're not you're not filing an insurance claim. They're paying you via your website, invoicing, however you decide to do it, but those are considered private clients, a private pay client. So remember, NPI number, I won't even say you have to have it, but I would suggest you get an NPI number because it doesn't cost you anything. State requirements and starting a transportation business are not the same thing. And we have to add in this industry of transporting people, you really have to do your research. I think it's with any business, but doing your research in this business is crucial because then you learn whether, one, this is something you want to do, if two, if it's profitable, and then three, who are your customers. It don't matter what business you have to hone in or try to market and figure out who your customer is. So even though we provide transportation of people, that does not mean that everybody is our customer. And so even though I do student transportation, that doesn't mean every student is my customer. I focus on special needs students. And so, but special needs, y'all know that could mean anything. So it could mean the student that's in a wheelchair. It could mean the student that is technically what the school system could call special needs. It could be students that live in foster care. It could be students that family has been displaced and they live at a hotel at the time. Like, it could be so many things when you think about special needs. So we do student transportation, but we focus on special needs, students with special needs. But then you also have over here private clients. So it's a plethora of clients. And so that's why I said I'm going to do another video. And I did a live webinar, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago in December on getting clients. And so the title of it is, I started my NEMT business. Now what? And so when you think about getting clients, don't just focus on this group of clients, which is Medicaid, Medicare, or insurance. That's a portion. And for my business, I'm going to say for us, that's probably like 20%. You got a whole big other piece of the pie that's 80%. And so that 80% could be courier service. That 80% could be private transportation, like taking people, seniors or whatever, to grocery store, airport, things like that. Another port in that 80% could be your student transportation. It could be so many different things. You also have where if you decide that you want to what you call it, like if a person is going to the doctor, you have people that go to the doctor and they might not have family members that are around that can sit with them, and their appointment or their surgery or whatever requires that somebody's there. You could offer that service. So when you think about non-emergency transportation as a service and not your whole business model, then it opens your eyes to different types of clients. And so don't get so stuck on, well, what are the broker requirements, what are the state requirements. The state requirements may say, again, that you got to have x amount of dollar type of insurance. You have to have a surety bond or license, things like that. But that does not say, okay, because I don't get a Medicaid number, I can't service other clients, because you can. And so that kind of wraps up state requirements. Like, what does that really mean? And knowing what your state requirements are is not a bad thing, but it does not determine who your customers have to be. You can offer your services, your transportation services, to multiple types of clients. You just have to decide what that looks like. So make sure that you, if you're new to my channel, make sure that you follow me on social media, and I'll put the links underneath the video. If you are looking for a course or a blueprint type of course on starting your transportation business, but focusing on NEMT, I have a boot camp the next course starts in February. And I cover everything. I cover state requirements is in there, getting clients. I cover vehicles, insurance, marketing, which is huge, software, website. Like, I cover an array of everything, and it is a live training where we meet every Thursday at I want to say right now it's 7:30 p.m. Eastern, and you get to ask your questions, and you're provided with what I know, and also people in the group that may already have their business and kind of already getting going. But the networking is really huge for me, because if you are in one state and somebody in the class is in another state, then you guys can network and work together. So that is on my website, www.stunninglystephanie.com, and you can RSVP or register now. I want to say it's been open for a couple of weeks. And if you don't want to attend the course and you just need some type of digital products or help getting started, my website, I also have replays from my previous trainings, and I also have an ebook on how to start and a few checklists. So check out my website, www.stunninglystephanie.com. The next video I'm going to have to do is going to have to be on getting clients, because I think, like, in my opinion, that's where we all struggle with. That part of it is getting clients and keeping those clients. I'm sorry. Hey, Greta. It's www.stunninglystephanie.com. It's on my shirt. See? Look at there. stunninglystephanie.com. Let me see if I can put it in the chat. Let's see. They won't let me do it, but you're welcome. But I think talking about how do you get clients, because a lot of times, when I'm in different Facebook groups, people will say, well, you always want to focus on dialysis. You got to, and I'm gonna say this before I get ready to go, but you got to think about it. A lot of dialysis patients are on Medicaid, so a lot of that's gonna roll through your broker, depending on what state you are in, right? But you can reach out to not just the bigger dialysis clinics, but you have, the options for the other ones that hold on. You have the options for the smaller dialysis clinics. I mean, and that's why I said I'm having to do a whole video, because I challenge people to really think about anything, any medical facility that you think people need a ride to or get a ride to. And so if you really sit down and think about that, you won't really focus no more on state requirements and Medicaid. Like that's that 20%. But dialysis clinics is a portion. You have hospitals, discharges. But I go into detail even with the replay that I did, the getting clients. It makes you really think outside. Well, like I said, throw the damn box, throw the box away. But when you think about plastic surgery, gastric bypass, um, you think about people that have surgery, period. It's plastic, it's so many dental procedures, eye procedures, like, physical therapy is really huge. People that have been in accidents and they go to accident attorneys, um, they gotta get transportation to their appointments. And so a lot of times they can't drive, especially if they go into physical therapy, depending on where they're at in their physical therapy, they can't drive. So when you think about that, and you'll be like, oh my goodness, like I didn't know I could. And then again, that's when you determine who is your ideal customer and who you want to service. Um, One of your ladies, and we still communicate, we still work together. She started off with me when I was looking for independent contractors or 1099s, and she still is listed as a driver. She has her own business, and she has one wheelchair van, and she went and she got a vehicle wrapped, got everything done. And what's crazy is she was, stopped by different places, took her marketing material, and she was like, man, it's taking a minute. I ain't hearing nothing back. And I was like, girl, listen, once you put it out there, it may not be an automatic, like boomerang kind of thing where it's going to come right back. Sometimes you got to give it a couple of weeks. And to me, that's like with any marketing. You try it out, see if it works. So you might go a couple of places, but they might be like, well, we don't really need it. We don't need the transportation right now. We already have drivers, XYZ. But when it come back around, you got to be careful, because if you are if you are owner operator, or you have one or two drivers, and you put your business out there, then you just got to remember and be prepared that you might have to, you know, get you some 1099s or hire more people, because what happens is now everybody will start calling. And so then you got to, which is not a bad, it's definitely, listen, that ain't a bad thing at all. But you just have to be prepared to say, okay, now it's time, and know when it's time to hire people or get more drivers. And so she reached out to like some adult daycares. That's another option, because they needed transportation, and then they need it most of the time. It's every day, y'all. So it's so many things that we could do in this industry of transportation, but focusing on transporting people. And when you think about non-emergency medical transportation, that really means taking people anywhere other than by EMS, or that's not an emergency, right? And so that could be any type of medical type of appointment, but you got other options. Like we take the same people that may go to the doctor at some of the assisted living facilities. We also provide that transportation to the grocery stores. Target runs, Walmart runs, Publix, what you call it, family events. Like, it's different things that you can do. So you have your non-emergency medical side, but then you also have your concierge or your private side where people have already they already trust you. So when it comes to you taking them other places, it's automatic. And people like, well, they could call Uber. Well, they probably could, but they already trust you. And so when you think about senior citizens, they may not be too hip or want to use Uber, but they trust you because they know, okay, well, listen, Stephanie people that took me to the doctor and back, like they take me on time, they courteous, their vehicles are clean, like we're gonna ride with them. And so I'm gonna do another video on that. I'll be trying not to make the videos too long, but state requirements, guys, just remember that does not mean how to start your business. State requirements is just one part of your transportation business, and as far as what the state may require if you decide that you want to transport their clients. And so if you decide that you want to, then you have to follow these rules. And a lot of states are saying 1.5 million, 2 million in auto liability. Some may say that you have to have this type of license. Some say you have to have a surety bond. But all of them have one thing in common, and that's that insurance and that auto liability. And even if you decide that you don't want to work with the state per se, like as far as you're welcome, as far as the broker side and Medicaid, Medicare, like I still say follow the state requirements. I just feel like I used to be like for about 15, 16 years, I was a police officer. I was in law enforcement. And so we had this thing, that is CYA, cover your ass. So because right now there are not really any stipulations or rules on private clients. So if I have a licensed driver, great customer service, I have a nice vehicle that I keep clean, it's not old, it's clean, I got great insurance, then you can pretty much take people where they want to go. Person, car, insurance. You can take people wherever they want to go. So it's up to you as the business owner to say, okay, these are the type of clients that I want to take. And I want to take these clients here, whether it's plastic surgery, whether it's ortho kind of specialist. It could be different things. So I'm going to wrap this up, y'all, because guess what? My dang battery about to die. I appreciate y'all checking in. Make sure you go to my website, www.stunninglystephanie.com. Sign up for the boot camp. It is starting in mid-February, and it's going to be great. I will see y'all next time. My next video is definitely going to be on getting clients and what that looks like. Talk to y'all soon. Thank you.